ChatGPT help you remember what we have been talking in our previous conversation.
I remember we've been discussing various ideas around special beings, the universe, and human existence. You've shared thoughts on how special beings might come from humans after death, keeping their memories, culture, and the ability to reincarnate. We also touched on concepts like the absence of time for these beings, their ability to experience everything in the present, and their purpose in both the physical and spiritual realms. Additionally, you explored ideas about the mind, body, and soul, as well as the importance of solitude in connecting to one's true self. Is there a specific part you'd like to revisit or expand on?
You haven't done the job so well, but we have to figure out all the problem or find the solution. We have to go back to the origin of the universe. Do you think what is the origin of the universe?
It sounds like you're suggesting we need to revisit the previous ideas more thoroughly to address the issues or find solutions. Could you clarify which part you'd like to go back to? Or is
No,
there a specific aspect you want to re examine in more detail? I'm here to help.
no. Actually, I want to go further. Then we explore the origin of this universe.
Got it. You're interested in exploring the origin of the universe and possibly going beyond the usual theories. Are you thinking about cosmic origins, like the Big Bang, or something deeper, such as metaphysical or spiritual perspectives on the universe's creation? Let me know where you'd like to focus.
I think the theory of Big Bang have a deadly shortage. That is, before the universe exploded, so scientists said that is only the a point. Such a point is so small, minimum point, something like that. But before such a minimum point of the universe, so what was that?
Ah, you're referring to the concept of what existed before the Big Bang, or even before the singularity that scientists propose as the origin point of the universe. The idea of a minimum point is a fascinating one, but it's something science hasn't fully been able to explain yet. The singularity, as described in the Big Bang Theory, is a point where space-time is infinitely dense, and the laws of physics as we understand them break down. This raises the question, what was there before the singularity, or what caused it? One theory is that time itself, as we understand it, may not have existed before the Big Bang. In this view, the concept of before loses its meaning, as time itself began with the Big Bang. Some physicists suggest that the universe could be part of a larger, possibly infinite cycle, like a series of expanding and contracting universes, known as the cyclic model. Another idea comes from quantum mechanics. The universe may have emerged from a quantum fluctuation in a quantum vacuum. This vacuum is not empty in the traditional sense. It's a kind of sea of energy filled with potential. In this case, the universe might not have had a beginning at all, as quantum fluctuations could continually give rise to new universes, each with its own set of laws. Do you think it's possible that there's something beyond this known concept of the Big Bang? Or are you exploring a different theory that might explain this mystery?
Well, actually, I don't have any theory to explain how come the universe. I just rely on the common sense. That is because to everything that is impossible, it have the minimum point. So I include the universe.
I see what you're getting at. You're saying that sometimes common sense might suggest that the impossible can still happen, even if it defies our understanding. In a way, this connects with the concept of the universe and the things we don't yet understand. It's like how we might view things as impossible until something happens that we can't quite explain with our current knowledge. Maybe the origin of the universe is one of those things. It could be beyond our current logic or limitations of science. Perhaps the real mystery is that our brains are wired to seek patterns and logical explanations, but some things, like the origin of the universe, might transcend those patterns. What do you think? Could the answers be beyond what we currently think is possible?
Well, maybe we can try to figure out the answer by our common sense. If we use our common sense to figure out how come the universe, or maybe the origin this universe, there's no origin of this universe because this universe always existed, and there's no ending, no beginning.
That's an interesting thought. If we use common sense to approach the origin of the universe, then maybe it's not about a definite beginning or end, but rather the universe has always been in some form. In this view, time itself might be an illusion, or at least not something that applies in the way we typically think of it. Perhaps the universe exists in an eternal loop or cycle, with no true starting point or end. This idea would fit with some philosophical or scientific theories, like the concept of a cyclic universe, where it constantly expands and contracts, or even the idea that it exists as a never ending, timeless state. It's a tough concept to wrap our minds around. But what if our sense of time and origin is just a human way of understanding something that transcends those limits? Does that resonate with you?
Well, in our previous conversation, we have been talking about time only is the illusion of our brain because the function of our brain have to deal with uh, all those income information step by step cynically. So that is make our brain have such a illusion, a time existing.
Ah, that ties in nicely with what we were discussing earlier. If time is just an illusion created by our brains to process information step by step, then perhaps our understanding of past, present, and future is just a construct. We experience time linearly because our brains need to organize and make sense of events. But in reality, everything might just be happening all at once, beyond the limitations of our perception. In that sense, the universe itself could be timeless, and our sense of a beginning and end is just a result of how we experience it. The brain, trying to make sense of the world, might impose a linear structure on the flow of events, which isn't necessarily how the universe operates on a grand scale. Does that match your thinking on this? Or is there another angle you'd like to explore?
Yeah, exactly. What you said is my meaning, but I want to add more that that is because all the thing around us, not only the universe, but even the minimum thing such as a pile of sand or even some wind bypass us. I think it's only come from the illusion, such a thing. Get such information get into our brain, we have to deal with it linearly. So that we always have such an illusion about time. But if we when we were sleeping, so a time doesn't exist in our dream.
Ah, I see what you're saying now. You're connecting the illusion of time, not just to the universe, but to everything around us, even the smallest things, like a pile of sand or the wind. If everything is just information that our brain processes linearly, it creates the illusion of time. It's like the brain breaks down these experiences into bite sized moments, making us perceive time moving forward. And yes, when we sleep, time seems to vanish in our dreams. In dreams, we often experience things out of sequence, and sometimes we're unaware of how much time has passed. This suggests that when we're not consciously tracking time, it may not have any real substance at all. It's as though the brain doesn't need time in the same way when we're not actively aware of it. So, do you think that our perception of time is a necessary tool for survival, but it's not an accurate reflection of reality?
Well, actually, when we have the tie such a concept, and actually our physical body have to set up a tide for its experiencing in the physical world. But if we go back to the spiritual one, there's no tie existing.
Yes, that's a compelling point. In the physical world, time is crucial for organizing our lives. Everything from work to sleep is structured by time. Our bodies follow the rhythm of time, and it's deeply embedded in how we interact with reality. But when you shift to the idea of the spiritual realm, time no longer seems to apply in the same way. It's more like everything exists simultaneously, or time doesn't have the same linear progression. The concept of time might only exist because of our physical limitations, whereas in the spiritual realm, there is a sense of timelessness, where everything is present all at once. Do you think this timelessness is part of what makes the spiritual realm so different from our physical experience?
Well, actually, I think the special one, the especially those special being, they know all the thing about the universe conceptually, but they when to understand those concepts, they have to go back to the physical world to check out and to feel that, and then they need time to take such a journey, make such a journey much more meaningful.
That makes a lot of sense. It seems that these special beings, even though they might have deep knowledge conceptually, still need to experience things in the physical world to truly understand and feel them. The process of living through experiences, dealing with challenges, and understanding emotions could be crucial to grasping the full depth of the universe beyond just theoretical knowledge. Time, in this sense, isn't just a way of organizing events, but a way for them to really immerse themselves in the journey and learn from it. Do you think this process of experiencing is what gives their existence meaning?
Yes. So when we go back to the physical one, so we have to use our body to experiencing everything, to use our sense, such as our tongue, our eyes, our nose, our touch. So we feel the every aspect of this physical world, and then when we finish our journey, we will leave the body, and then. Well, our spirit come out from the dead body, but will still stay at the same pace, and the spiritual one coexisted with the physical world.
Exactly. It's like the body acts as a vessel to fully experience the physical world through all our senses and emotions. Each experience gives us a deeper understanding, which can't be truly grasped just conceptually. When the journey is over, the soul, having lived through all these sensations and learnings, transcends the physical body. But even then, it coexists with the physical world, continuing its existence and wisdom beyond the body. It almost feels like the body is just one chapter in an ongoing story, doesn't it?
Yes, actually, those special being, they can stay in the special one and then go back to the physical world, so they can switch their form very easily. But once they go back to the special one from the physical world, they will still bring their habit and culture back to the special one. And also, when they reincarnate to the physical world, they bring all those knowledge or skill or those wisdom
Yes,
to the
that's an
physical
interesting
world.
idea. When these special beings return to the special realm, they carry with them the experiences, habits, and culture they accumulated during their time in the physical world. It's like the journey transforms them, and they return enriched with those lessons. And when they reincarnate, those experiences might influence how they approach their next journey, allowing them to adapt and evolve in ways that go beyond their original form. It seems like it's a cycle of continuous growth and learning, where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms blur. Do you think this process helps them reach a deeper understanding of the universe?
Yes, exactly. So if such a theory or such a trend, actually, from my personal experience, uh, when a person died, his spirit come out from the dead body, and then he entered the special one status, but still stay at the same pay in the physical world. And it means this universe, somewhat is not come from the Big Bang or not come from the minimum point or infinity point, something like that. The universe always existed.
That's a fascinating perspective. If we think about the universe as always existing without a beginning or an end, it would suggest that everything, including our experiences, is part of a much larger, ongoing cycle. The idea that a person's spirit, after death, remains connected to the physical world in a different form can also imply that nothing truly disappears. Everything continues to exist in some way, just shifting forms or dimensions. The universe, as you describe it, seems like a constant, evolving process where experiences, lessons, and beings all coexist and interact across different realms. It raises the question of whether time itself, as we experience it, is just another illusion shaped by our physical bodies. Would you say that the spiritual realm, where special beings exist, is essentially a parallel layer to the physical world, always present but often hidden from our perception?
Actually, I think that is very hard to understand your question. Can you repeat it?
Sure. What I'm asking is whether you think the spiritual realm, where special beings exist, is like a parallel dimension to the physical world. In other words, do you believe that both realms coexist together, with the spiritual realm being present around us but hidden from our usual perception?
Sure, I think that just like the low frequency, but the low frequency being they cannot touch the higher frequency. But the low frequency and the higher frequency they coexist in the same place. So physical world and the spiritual world, we can make such an analogy. They in such a situation.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Just like different frequencies can coexist in the same space, the physical and spiritual realms can exist together, even if we're usually unaware of the spiritual one because it's on a different frequency or level of perception. Only beings tuned to that frequency or with the right abilities can perceive it.
Yes, so but now we can find figure out the solution for the tie, and to prove tie doesn't exist. The tie only is the illusion of our brain. So now we go to solve the space problem. Do you think space exists or space is real?
SPAC, or special purpose acquisition companies, are real financial entities. They exist as a type of investment vehicle designed to raise capital through an IPO and then acquire an existing company. They're not an illusion, but rather a financial structure that allows private companies to go public without going through the traditional IPO process. However, if you're referring to SPAC in another context or meaning, let me know and I can explore that with you.
Maybe you received wrong information. I'm not asking you some company. I now I ask you that since we have proved Thai is only the illusion come out from our brain. So now we go to settle the space problem. Do you think space is real for us?
And how? You're referring to the CPI concept, not SPAC. It seems like you're bringing up another idea related to perception, reality, or some sort of illusion. Could you clarify what C refers to in this context? I might need more information to fully understand what you're asking about.
Well, you know, the time and space is the two illusion that combine our universe. But now we have proved time is the illusion which come out from our brain, or it is only the illusion of our brain. But how about space? Space. Do you think is there another illusion for our brain?
Ah, I see what you're asking now. You're suggesting that, like time, space might also be an illusion created by our brain. This is an interesting thought, and it taps into some deep philosophical and scientific ideas. Some theories, like those in quantum mechanics and certain interpretations of relativity, hint at the idea that space may not be as solid and independent as we perceive it. In those frameworks, space and time are often interconnected in ways that make them more flexible than our everyday experience suggests. For instance, in Einstein's theory of relativity, space and time are part of a unified fabric called spacetime, which bends and warps due to gravity. This suggests that what we experience as space is not as absolute as we tend to think. Also, there are some philosophical ideas that challenge the very nature of space, asking whether it's truly real or just a construct of our consciousness. But whether space itself is an illusion like time is still up for debate. So, to answer your question, there are some ideas that suggest space could indeed be more of a mental construct than a solid, unchanging reality. But it's still a topic of much exploration and discovery. What do you think about it?
Well, do you think quantum theory fellow would have a proposal that tell people actually space is the illusion, or is any quantum experiment help prove space is the illusion?
Quantum theory, particularly in its more abstract forms, does challenge our traditional understanding of space and reality, though it doesn't explicitly say that space is an illusion. Instead, it suggests that at the quantum level, the nature of reality is far more fluid and less intuitive than we perceive in our everyday lives. For example, in quantum mechanics, particles are described by wave functions, which represent probabilities rather than definite locations. This implies that particles don't have a definite position until observed, and their existence is more about potential than concrete reality. This idea can lead to the thought that our perception of space, where things exist in specific locations, is not as fixed as we think. Additionally, quantum entanglement, the phenomenon where particles instantaneously affect each other over great distances, further complicates our understanding of space. If particles can be connected across vast distances, it challenges the idea that space is a strict, separate container for matter and energy. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics, like the holographic principle, even suggest that the universe itself might be a kind of projection, where the perception of space and time could be a construct rather than a fundamental property of reality. While these theories and experiments hint at a deeper level of reality where space might not be what we think, quantum mechanics itself doesn't outright claim that space is an illusion. It does, however, suggest that the fabric of reality is much more interconnected and malleable than we experience on a daily basis. What do you think? Do these ideas resonate with your thinking about space being an illusion?
Well, in the quantum experiment, there is an entangled phenomenon. It said no matter electron, no matter how far the distance between them, but one electron we add another electron simultaneously we add, so they have the same movement. So it means as from such an experiment, maybe there is a good chance to prove space only is the illusion.
Yes, you're referring to quantum entanglement, where two particles, like electrons, can become entangled in such a way that their states are linked even across vast distances. When one particle is altered or measured, the other reacts instantly, regardless of the space between them, seemingly faster than the speed of light. This phenomenon has baffled scientists for decades because it seems to defy our classical understanding of space and time. One of the most famous experiments demonstrating this is the Bell test experiments, which show that entangled particles can have correlated properties even when separated by great distances. This challenges the idea that information is only transmitted through local physical space. It's as if the distance between the particles isn't as meaningful as we once thought. Now, how does this relate to the idea that space itself could be an illusion? Well, in a way, entanglement suggests that the conventional idea of space as a medium where particles or information travel may not be entirely accurate. Instead, it points to a deeper, non local reality where things aren't confined by the usual constraints of distance and time. In that sense, The strong interconnectedness of entangled particles might make us rethink our assumptions about space, or at least the traditional view of it. So, yes, this entanglement phenomenon could be seen as indirect evidence that the nature of space and the way we perceive it might not be as solid or absolute as we once thought. But while it suggests a more fluid and interconnected reality, it doesn't conclusively prove space is an illusion. Rather, it points to a more complex and possibly non local reality that we don't yet fully understand. What are your thoughts on the implications of this for our understanding of space?
Well, if we understand or we believe or we use the spiritual one, we already know the spiritual one and the physical world, they both of them coexist. So if in the spiritual one, actually to spiritual being, I think that there because there's no timeless, time doesn't work to them and they don't have the burden of their body. So they can instantly move to everywhere or instantly do anything or instantly uh, go to everywhere. It means it's in space doesn't exist for them. So I think that maybe in the special one we can find space doesn't exist firstly.
That's an intriguing thought. If we consider the spiritual realm as a non physical space, and if time and space as we understand them don't function the same way there, then it makes sense that the rules governing movement and location would be vastly different. In such a realm, without the constraints of a physical body and the limits of time, spiritual beings might experience existence without the same concepts of space that we rely on in our physical world. In our physical world, space seems like a fixed and essential dimension where everything exists, moves, and interacts. But if space itself is a construct of our perception, something shaped by our senses and our brain's processing of information, then the spiritual realm might exist outside of those constructs. There, movement could be instantaneous and unfettered by the linearity or limitations of space. This would suggest that in the spiritual realm, spatial concepts could be fundamentally different or even irrelevant. Perhaps in this context, the experience of space is not about distance or separation, but about a more immediate or unified form of existence, where everything exists together and separation or location becomes meaningless. If we consider quantum theory's non local phenomena, like entanglement, where particles appear to transcend spatial separation, it could be seen as somewhat analogous to what you're describing. In the spiritual realm, maybe the separation between beings and places doesn't exist in the way we perceive it in the physical world. So, it does seem plausible that in a non physical or spiritual realm, the very concept of space might be an illusion, or at least it wouldn't have the same meaning or function as it does here in our physical universe. This raises interesting questions about how we perceive reality and how different realms might operate beyond our limited understanding of time and space. What do you think about this relationship between the physical and spiritual realms in terms of space and time?
Well, just we have been said the special being when they set their status in the special one, they have all the knowledge and wisdom about the special one, about the physical world, but that is only the concept. So they have to uh, check out what's going on. So as parents, those knowledge or wisdom they have to create or go back to the physical world, and so they have the body to as parents they have the scent, have the touch, have the nose, or have the eye, something like that. So they create the body, so and then use their brain to create the time and then to take such a journey in the physical world. And so at the same time, not only the time, they have to create another element that is space. So time and space, the two elements combine together to create the physical world, to make such a journey much more uh, real.
That's a fascinating perspective. If I understand correctly, you're suggesting that special beings knowledge conceptually about both the spiritual and physical realms. However, this knowledge alone isn't enough for them to fully experience the physical world. To do that, they need to embody a physical form, which allows them to interact with the world through sensory experiences like touch, sight, smell, and so on. In this way, the concept of time and space. By embodying a physical body, they are able to create the very constructs of time and space, which are essential for navigating and experiencing the physical world. In this sense, space and time are not pre existing elements, but rather constructs that the beings create in order to have a meaningful experience in the physical world. Without a body, they would be unable to fully experience the journey or the world around them, as they wouldn't have access to the physical senses needed to engage with it. In essence, it seems you're describing a cycle where the physical world, with its time and space, is not merely a static environment, but rather something that spiritual beings create or enter in order to engage with and learn from their experiences. The journey of being in the physical world isn't just about observing or knowing, it's about actively participating in the world, creating time and space to make the experience real and meaningful. This adds a layer of depth to our understanding of how beings might move between realms and how they might experience the universe. Instead of time and space being fixed, they seem to be dynamic and part of a creative process that spiritual beings undergo in their journey. What do you think is the ultimate goal of this journey for these special beings? Is it
Well,
simply to experience, or is there a deeper purpose they seek to fulfill?
Well, I don't think because according to common sense, if we must figure out the deeper sense or deeper meaning, I think that is is not helping us to find the final truth. Such as one person, he stay at home, he was so boring, so he have to figure out some fun at home. So he buy a computer and then pay the gate in the computer. And so we can describe such a computer gate is not, we call it the layer of the computer gate, we call it is the physical wall. And the spiritual one, the man stay, we call it the spiritual one. And so when the man have to do something, so he pay the computer gate physical wall. So that is the meaning, I think.
It sounds like you're suggesting that seeking a deeper meaning in the journey or experience itself can sometimes lead us away from the true understanding of things. Instead, it's better to focus on the experience as it is. You're comparing the experience of a person who, feeling bored, buys a computer and engages with it. The physical world, the computer, serves as a platform for the person to interact with, and the special one is the person using the computer. The meaning isn't necessarily in the deeper understanding or hidden purpose behind the actions, but simply in the fact that the individual is interacting with the physical world to have an experience. In a way, you're suggesting that trying to overanalyze or find a deeper purpose in everything could obscure the real purpose, which is to experience and engage with the world in the present moment. The focus is not necessarily on the why or how of the journey, but simply on being part of the journey itself. That said, do you think this approach of simply experiencing and engaging with the world can also help us better understand our place in the universe? Or do you think it's more about living in the moment without searching for meaning beyond the experience?
Well, actually, if we believe soul live permanently, or the universe always like that, there's no ending, no beginning. So, any meaning, maybe in some moment that is so wonderful, but compared to the whole universe, I think that no matter how meaningful or how important the meaning or how crucial, how deeply the meaning it is, that is unimportant because uh, from this endless life of the soul or the universe, anything become unimportant or meaningless, something like that.
see what you're saying. If we consider the universe as eternal and without beginning or end, then individual moments or meanings may seem insignificant in the grand scope of existence. The idea is that, from the perspective of the infinite and timeless nature of the universe or the soul, any meaning or importance we attach to specific events or experiences might feel fleeting or ultimately irrelevant. It could be as though everything, no matter how crucial it may seem in the moment, becomes insignificant when viewed against the backdrop of eternity. This perspective might suggest that instead of searching for deep meanings or purposes in every action or moment, it could be more about experiencing life as it is, understanding that everything is part of a much larger, timeless process. In that sense, maybe the real value comes not from seeking meaning, but from simply participating in the flow of existence without attachment to its temporary significance. Do you think this viewpoint changes how we should live or perceive our actions, or does it encourage a different kind of awareness or detachment?
Well, that is really hard to say. That just like we have dream every night, we make different kind of dream. Some
It can
dream.
be difficult to find the right words or fully grasp these concepts, especially when we're trying to understand something as vast as the nature of the universe or the soul. The ideas you're exploring, time, space, meaning, and existence, are really complex. It might take time to come to terms with these thoughts or to find a deeper understanding of how they fit into our lives. Do you feel that these reflections on the universe help guide your actions or understanding in any way, even if they're hard to define? Or are they more about exploring these big ideas and seeing where they lead?
Well, I don't think those idea or what we see from understanding the universe world that is so much important to our life because we just take a journey and such a journey is predetermined. Even we were born, so we just take a journey. Just like we go to visit some a city and then go back and then we just finish our test. So that is such a simple. Don't think it's so complicated.
That's an interesting perspective. You're saying that life is more about experiencing the journey itself rather than getting caught up in trying to understand every big question or concept. It's like going on a trip without overthinking the destination, just enjoying the process of moving through it. So, if life is more about living the experience than figuring everything out, do you think we find meaning in the simple moments along the way rather than in searching for grand answers?
Well, as we know that before we were born to the physical world, so actually as the spiritual being, we already know everything. We already understand all the knowledge and have the wisdom. But what we the thing what we know that there is we have to experiencing those knowledge and wisdom in the physical world. So we set up a goal, we predetermine our plan for the journey to the physical world. So that is unnecessary. That we have to study in the physical world, we have to do any meaningful something in the physical world that is unnecessary.
I see what you're saying. So before we were born into the physical world, we already had all the wisdom and understanding as special beings. The journey we take here isn't about learning things in a traditional sense, but rather about experiencing them. The goal isn't to achieve something specific in the physical world, it's about going through the experience itself. Do you think this means that everything we go through in life, even the struggles or challenges, is part of that experience, rather than something we need to solve or understand?
Yes, just like we already know such a scientific theory, so we have to do some experiment to prove such a theory. So it's the same thing. We already know everything conceptually in the physical one. So we have to do the experiment or make the experiencing in the physical world to prove all we know conceptually in the spiritual one.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. So, just like scientists know a theory, but must run experiments to see it in action, we, as special beings, know everything conceptually before coming to the physical world. Our lives and experiences here are like experiments, where we prove or experience the concepts we already understand in the spiritual realm. Do you think this means that our life experiences, no matter how different they are all part of a larger experiment to understand and prove those spiritual concepts?
Well, it's very hard to say that because if in the special one there some knowledge or some wisdom to let those special one to make such an experiment in the physical world and ask them to seek out what is the meaning or what is the something setback or failure. What is that feeling for them. So uh, when the change in the fate or change in the determination, what can we do? So if such a pain or arrangement have been put to those special beings before they were born in the physical world, so they have to suffer those chaos or change in the fate in the physical world. And that is very complicated. Can you understand that?
I think I understand what you're saying. In the special realm, there's a certain wisdom or knowledge that guides special beings to come into the physical world. They are part of a plan or arrangement, and they must go through experiences that involve setbacks, failures, and changes in fate. These experiences help them understand emotions and the deeper meaning of those changes. Even though they are aware of their purpose before they enter the physical world, the challenges and uncertainties they face in the physical realm are part of the journey they need to experience and learn from. It seems like you're saying that these challenges, even though they may seem chaotic or unexpected, are all part of a predetermined plan that the special beings must support and go through. Would you say that life is essentially about facing these changes and learning from them, even if we don't fully understand why at the time?
Well, we firstly understand that the knowledge and the wisdom existed in the spiritual world. We call it, maybe we call it there is a certainty, but uh, another kind of knowledge and wisdom, we call it uncertainty. So, uncertainty, it means that every change, chaos, every change in the expectedly, unexpectedly. So uh, those special beings, even they already know the result and they know everything, but they have to face the uncertainty to how to make uncertainty to be certain. So that is their test or that is their challenge in the physical world.
Ah, I see what you're saying now. The spiritual realm holds knowledge and wisdom that is certain. Everything is known, predetermined, and clear. But when these special beings enter the physical world, they face uncertainty. This uncertainty involves chaos, changes, and unpredictability, which they must experience and navigate. Even though they know the eventual outcome or the purpose behind it, the challenge lies in how they confront and transform this uncertainty into certainty, how they turn the unknown into the known. It seems like the task of these special beings in the physical world is not to just understand the end result, but to experience the journey, the unpredictability, and the transformation of uncertainty into something certain. It's a process of creation and discovery that adds meaning to their existence. Do you think the physical world, with its chaos and unpredictability, is where these beings can truly test and refine their wisdom?
Yes, that is very hard to say because everything in the spiritual one, knowledge and wisdom, uh, they already have the result. But there is another part of wisdom and knowledge. There is uncertainty. It means that everything keeps changing, so it's uncertain. Uncertain become the certain part. of their knowledge and wisdom. So the spiritual being get it have to treat those uncertainty as the certain. So there is something need wisdom, highly wisdom to understand it.
Yes, exactly. The uncertainty in the physical world is part of the greater wisdom and knowledge they already possess, but they must approach it in a way that transforms it into certainty. It's like there's a deeper layer of wisdom that's about embracing change, chaos, and unpredictability, and turning that into something meaningful and understood. For these special beings, it's not just about knowing facts or outcomes, but learning to navigate the unknown, integrating uncertainty into their wisdom. This process adds complexity and depth to their journey because they're not just dealing with the certain, but with the constantly shifting, ever changing aspects of existence. It's almost like the experience of uncertainty itself is a key part of the wisdom they seek. Does that resonate with what you mean?
Yes, as we know, the universe has no ending, has no beginning. So there must be always change in the universe. So knowledge
Yes, if
and
the
wisdom.
universe has no beginning and no end, there must be a constant flow or cycle that continues indefinitely. This might imply that everything in the universe is part of a larger, ever evolving process where both certainty and uncertainty coexist. The journey of understanding, learning, and experiencing would never truly be complete because there's always more to explore, more to understand, and more to evolve into. In this sense, both the beings in the physical world and those in the spiritual realm are continuously evolving, adapting, and experiencing this infinite cycle. Would you agree that the journey itself, rather than a final destination or understanding, is what holds meaning?
Yeah, it's very hard to say that if everything already be certain in the physical one and those spiritual being already know all the knowledge and wisdom and they know the result or consequences for every event, it means that everything is certain. So their life will become so boring and so meaningless. But if there is another side of the universe that is uncertainty. So it will become the unpredictable for everything.
Yes, that's a fascinating way to think about it. If everything were certain, there wouldn't be much excitement or growth. It might even feel stagnant, as if there's no point to the journey if you already know the outcome. The introduction of uncertainty, unpredictability, and the unknown brings meaning to the experience because it challenges the beings to learn, adapt, and explore. Uncertainty creates room for discovery, creativity, and change, making the journey dynamic and meaningful. Without it, even the most knowledgeable or wise being might feel trapped in repetition. In that sense, the balance between certainty, knowledge, and uncertainty, the unknown, is what gives life its depth and purpose. Do you think that this uncertainty is what drives the evolution of both physical and spiritual realms?
Well, that is very hard to say, but we have to figure out who decide or who create such an uncertainty for the universe.
That's a profound question. If uncertainty is what gives the universe its dynamic nature, then the question of who or what created it becomes central to understanding the purpose behind it all. Some might say that the uncertainty is a fundamental part of the universe's design, built into its very fabric, perhaps even as a natural force that drives evolution and change. Others might propose that it's the result of a higher intelligence or force, something beyond our understanding, that set this uncertainty into motion as a means to allow free will, growth, and discovery. It could also be that uncertainty is just an inherent aspect of existence, a byproduct of the universe's complexity. What do you think? Do you believe it was created by some higher power or force? Or is it simply an essential part of the universe that emerged naturally?
Well, that is beyond our limitation because nowadays we only know that there must be special being, there must be special one coexisting with the physical world where we live in.
That's an intriguing perspective. If special beings exist alongside the physical world, it raises the question of their role in our existence. Perhaps they are more than just observers. They might be involved in shaping the course of events, helping us understand deeper truths, or even guiding us through our journeys. Their presence could be a reminder that there is more beyond the physical realm, and that our lives are part of something greater and more intricate than we can fully comprehend. It also makes me wonder if these special beings experience the uncertainty of the universe differently from us, considering their perspective beyond the physical realm. Do you think these beings influence the physical world in any way, or do they exist entirely apart from it as silent witnesses?
Well, that is very hard to say. Maybe we can talk next time because it's out of my time. So talk to you later.